Hello, this is Haven. I'm just gonna give you a setup breakdown. I've got my computer here with like the test and all the vocabulary just to help me while I do this. And you might see a cat come through, and I have my painting right here. So this is a painting. It's a print of it, but that my dad bought a while ago. He doesn't really know anything about it. I recently found out some stuff about it, but it will not go into my analysis. Just here to give you a good look at it. Sorry about the reflection. You're gonna see my phone held up. And it's faded over time. You can kind of see the vibrance, but it's harder to see it in person. But I'm gonna go over it. I think a lot of the volume, not volume, a lot of the value in the colors have faded away over time. But I have like this, you can see that this light blue has faded, and it used to be like a lot more vibrant, and that this yellow used to be a lot brighter. All the negative space used to be a lot brighter, and there used to be, you can see like markings that used to be there, but they have faded over time. I'm gonna let you look. You can see a little bit of the yellow up there, and she has like basically no what is it called? Reticular lines. It's mostly curvilinear. It's a lot of fluid shapes. Down here, it's just all curvilinear. Her entire dress, her body, even this frame up here. There's basically no sharp edges in this painting. Let me see. It has a lot of texture, especially even if it's from fading from time. The texture on the paint on the ball she's sitting on, it's very grainy, and it almost looks like a type of carpet. There's absolutely a ton of texture and well done line work with paint on her dress. Just all the curves and wrinkles on it. You can even see it in her hair. It almost looks wool. The cloth looks like cloth. And the white has held up over time pretty well. Even on the chains up here. Sorry, but you can see the other art in the background. But yeah, the color has stayed. You can see that she has very like pale skin, and her hair used to be a lot like fairer at the time, but I think it's faded. I know what it looks like, the actual thing, but from this, obviously, her eyes are covered. To me, it looks like her head is like trapped in the frame, connected to the bandages over her eyes. Her hand is gripping the bottom of it and the side of it. There's a chain connecting to what looks like to the back of her head. She's not in like pain, but she doesn't look like happy. She looks solemn. You can't see her eyes. She doesn't really have an expression. I think there's like water below her, and like I said, there's markings. So, and it looks like it might be the sky because it's blue, and she might be in the sea, from what I can see, because it's a rock, and this looks like waves. It has the white textures above it, but it also could look like fog. It's hard because it's faded over time, but there's a slight darker line to put contrast to the back, And she contrasts the back with a lot deeper and darker colors than the negative space behind her and below it. She just contrasts very well with it. Yellow and blue contrast very well in the complementary colors. She's gripping pretty tight. You can't even see her thumb. It's not like going like this gently, but she's like holding on tight to it. This one's a little bit of a lesser grip, but her feet aren't tensed. She's kind of in a relaxed mood, but more in like how I would say, like solemn. You can see it looks like he used blue, but also green to highlight the dark edges, just to separate, and then some lights, because you can see a light source coming down as her body is covering, and it's including shadows. There's obviously some stuff on here that is not part of the painting because it's old. But I want to go into how I interpret it. Let me go to the assignment. So just going over it. Let's see what else I can find. I know it's a woman, but from here it's very like unclear and androgynous. I'm getting back into the frame. You can't really tell what gender it is. She has pretty short hair, so you could kind of like think of it as both. And there's like a base here. I don't know what that is when I look at it because of how old it is. But it looks like she's resting her entire head onto the frame, or like very, very closely. Her eyes might even be closed under the bandages because you don't see any peak. If she was looking at me and her eyes were where her face was facing, she would be like looking like down-ish towards the sea or whatever this fog is. Even in like I know there's supposed to be stuff back here because it has faded, but even in that, you can still see like different colors in the background. It's not like a flat color, nor is this. There's shading, especially over on this side. It's darker compared to here. So I'm assuming the light might be coming this way because this is lit up more, her feet are lit up more, but the back of her isn't. So it might not be a direct light showing down on top of her. Let me go back over. So the values of the light and color might be getting... The colors might be lightening up over here and darkening because of the values. Let me see. Like I said, it's a close composition. It's a solid figure. It's in an isolated area, and there's no really out of bounds stuff about it. It is representational of a woman, in my opinion, like wrapped up in bandages, held against a frame, and she's holding on to it. There's some nice yellows mixed. I don't know if that's fading or actual coloring. I'm going to bring it up closer. You can see that there's like light yellows dipped in with the blues along her dress, and that could be fading, but it's also like in the folds in certain areas. So I'm assuming that's what he used for shading, for a contrasting color to make it darker as well, as he did it for green on the back over here. It could be a yellow, actually. Just a darker tone of it on the greener side. And even her skin is kind of a yellowish pale. And that could be from... Because that's kind of a thing of fading, where like the white's kind of yellow a bit. But it does seem like he used like colors that were kind of similar, so that it had a contrasting effect with the blue in the background, so she would stand out against her and her own dress, because human skin is actually more blue. It has blue hues and reds, so having yellow against blue is a good idea because it kind of stands out. But yeah, like there's a sharp, like you can tell there's like a sharp dark color here. And then he starts fading this side, like he's mixing, or like, what's it called? Like blurring these over here. And it's kind of mixing into the background. Over here too, the defining lines kind of disappear. And down here you have whites, streaks, and then dark blues. Compared to here, this is kind of like a dark green. And there's like no rectilinear lines in this thing. Other than maybe like this is like a sharp line, but even on here, it's like it's curved. It doesn't end in points. It's mostly curved and has a lot of curvature in it. I don't think maybe here, like, but even then, it's like it's a point, but it bends. So I say maybe there'd be some rectilinear, but there's not a lot of it in this painting. I don't want to keep going over stuff. We talked about narrative in the article that I couldn't read. Maybe. I couldn't read it because it wanted me to pay for money. But I understood what some of the questions were. I don't know if this is I don't think this is a narrative piece from just looking at it. When I know, that's a different story, and I'll get to that. And I'll actually use some of the terms that I had put into my quiz for describing. It has a very like timid presence to me. I'm looking at, like, it has very murky colors, like I describe in my description of it. And that's not like, it's different from intimidating because it's murky, but it's not like darks. It's more like light blues and dark blues and then like pale lighting. It's more like somber of a presence and like how I said solemn and kind of like sad. But that doesn't make me feel sad, just how I would describe the presence of the painting. And just because I've been around it, probably some familiarity from what I've seen, and I'll get to that in a little bit for how it makes you feel. We'll get to that soon. Let me look at my personality. I think it has a pretty like solid personality from what like my description of it. You can tell what it's trying to like say in your own interpretation, which I'll get to that in a little bit because I don't want to get to that part right after. But I think it has it has a personality that you can like clearly define, and that might be like I'm trying to think of a word for it. It would be like stoic mixed with like regretful. If you get what I mean. It's like a weird mixture of that. That's the best I can put up with it. And there's just these, like, from other things I can see and find, it's just like there's these little details, the shadowing on the face, the darker aspect of the lips and eyes. Even though the light should be shining on there from where it is, there is an indentation, meaning like she has like kind of sucked in lips, like here, like tight lips. Like I have bigger lips, and if the light is like glistening off of them when I'm going like this, there's not really a lot of obstructing that, even if it's like her chin or like right here, meaning she's like turned down and she doesn't have like bigger lips. She has like thin lips, which is a weird. It's a cool detail, especially since I would say my lips are around, maybe like a little bit away from my, like half of my nose, and even then, her nose is lit up. Here, you can see it clearly, and it's more a prominent aspect than her lips. Even her hand, he's not lighting it totally. It's drifted into the back. That could be from fading or purposeful. And just a lot of good like shading. Just he wants the prominent aspects. The chest, which is usually in art pretty predominant, and they want to show it for some reason. It's darkened off. You can't really tell if it's a woman or not, unless you saw like the actual version, and then you can see. We'll get to that. But even then, in that you can't really tell, and in this you can't tell either. It's pretty androgynous. And let's get on to the next section. I'm making this a long video. It's fine. I like to talk. Interpret. And it's kind of different from what you said in here to the video, but I'm going to interpret like what I think this means. To me, it means like depression, and being locked up in it, and you kind of hold on to it even. Like she's clinging to the apparatus holding her head in, her eyes are blind, and she's not really doing anything about it. She's not in pain, and she's alone on like a rock, isolated. There's not a lot in the background, and even if there was, she can't even see it. Her head is just bandaged into it. She's leaning into it, and I feel like it's depression, loneliness, and that's how I interpret it. And just a lot of like dark, like muddied colors, which could be from fading, but from my interpretation of it, it's because it's like the world kind of goes numb to you as a person when you have depression. As I have experienced it and was on medication for it for a long time, you kind of just, it just kind of goes mute. You kind of just don't feel anything, and you kind of get blind to the actual reality of it. And we'll go on to why that's kind of makes sense later, but especially how there is like a thick line whenever her body is here. There is a thick contour too, except for the rock, which I get it's supposed to like separate the background, but it's not a color that would do that, so you don't really have to, but he did. There's no really line work, but there's a thick color difference going down here towards the back from the rock up to the frame along to her leg, and stops here and even goes down the rock, but it fades away. And even on the heel, you can see it. I would say it's supposed to represent loneliness and depression. From what I know of it, it is by, I don't remember his middle name, Greg Watts. He's from London. And this is a much vibrant picture. When I looked at it a few years ago, um, and her hair is red, and it's called Hope. And from what I know, this is a harp, and this is one string from the information I found online, which makes a lot of sense. Um, and it and from the understanding of what I heard and saw, that it's around the time his daughter died, I think. Um, and this is, like I said, it's a representation of loneliness, depression, and kind of just shutting yourself off. Um, but also that you have like a singular ray of hope, and in the background there are stars. There's supposed to be stars, and like things, and it's like a representation of having the blindfold on, because you can't see it. You're not able to like, experience it, and it sucks. Uh, and I think from looking at what I know about and what I interpreted from this and about what it's about, I think I can understand what he was going through. That like he's like super like locked down. He doesn't want to experience life, but he knows that, and he made this to show that to himself and those who view his stuff, that there's hope, even if stuff doesn't look like there is. Even if you can't see it, there's hope. Even like you can maybe like you can. Another thing I noticed. Here we go. You cannot see her ears. They are bandaged as well, meaning she probably can't hear. That is another thing I noticed. I mean, she's like kind of locked off from the world. She can speak, she can smell, but she can't hear and see. Um, which is odd since she is playing a harp. But she only has one string. Some of them are broken, obviously, and she can't see the world around her. And this is supposed to be her in, like, in space, I think, from what I read. Little did I do research, but like this is supposed to be like the Earth, and it's desolate, and this is supposed to be like the fog around the space, and this is supposed to be the stars. Obviously, you can't see that anymore since it's faded, but that's what it's supposed to be. And I think you can learn about the artist, George Watts, pretty well from this. That he kind of works through himself and his emotions through his art. A lot of people do that, or like societal issues, and he did a lot of it's a I don't know the word because I only like saw it like a couple of years ago, but it's like it's representational, obviously, but like it's supposed to like spread a message, or like like not representational, but like actually represent something, if you know what I mean. He was in a movement. I don't remember. It was in like the 1800s. So he was born then, and he died in like the 1900s, the early 1900s. But I think it helps you understand around the time that even now, that you kind of shut yourself down during depression when stuff happens. But I think he tried to make a positive twist on it, where even if you're shut down, there is still hope. There's still stuff around you that you can cling on to, this harp with one string, when stuff isn't going well. And I think that's very inspirational. I'm going to put this down, but I think it sets the attitude for around that time, and even till this day, where you can't really like tell people how you're feeling, so you kind of like can't speak or and you or talk about it. But this is way where he bypasses and finds a loophole. He paints a picture of it and shows that when you are depressed, you're shut down visually. Your world kind of changes, especially when someone dies, and you don't listen to reason, and you don't listen to what's around you, even if it's like right next to you. Her head is laid on the harp, but she has bandages, meaning she can't actually hear, even though she's trying to. Her hand is on the harp strings. She is actively playing it. Like she's doing this with it. She's not strumming it, but she's touching the strings. And I think because it represents his daughter. I think it was maybe either adopted or it was his actual daughter. And it represents her, but I think it also represents himself. Which explains a lot of the colors and the lack of color. Like, not lack, but it's very light. It's not vibrant. Even for the actual picture, it's not that vibrant. It's kind of, like I said, solemn and even, I would say faded, even though we were just using that. It's like faded colors, which is probably why they turned so dark. But yeah, I think that's a very good piece that is in my home. And I'm sorry this has been a long video. I kind of just talk. But I think it's just a very good representational piece from the times from George Watts. Thank you. Sorry for all the talking.